Hello, everybody. Welcome to Raising Multilinguals Live. My name is Tetsu Young from AskTetsu.
I'm Ute from Multilingual Families and Ute's International Lounge.
And I'm Rita Rosenbach from multilingualparenting.com.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for taking the time to be with us. We look forward to a lot of you interacting with us over the next, months, years, as we take on this journey and develop Raising Multilinguals Live into something that is ours, like ours as in us, the team, and you guys watching.
And please click on the subscribe link if you're on your phone. Then you will be notified automatically when we are next live, or go to the subscription options on your laptop so you won't miss any of our episodes.
Okay. So I think we have to start with who we are. Slowly develop. Today's program is really about who we are, why we're doing this thing, and slowly, I guess, walk into what we will be doing over the next weeks and months. So let's start with you, Rita. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my passion for languages started early. I was born into a bilingual family, and then it's just gone on from there until marrying someone from a different culture and different language, and getting kids, and then moving countries. So we kind of gathered languages along the way. All my jobs, I just thought about it the other day, all my jobs always had to do something to do with languages. I've written a book, Bringing Up a Bilingual Child, and I'm the driving force behind multilingualparenting.com, my website, and then I've got a group and a page of the same name. So I just love what I do. And an additional thing which has happened now is my company is part of a big EU project called Peach, which is a project that will help families within the EU to raise their children to speak the home languages. And I'm so excited to have Ute also join in that project. It's really exciting.
Fantastic. Well, very quickly, Ute, who are you? Hey, we're working together for the first time. Tell us a little bit about who you are, Ute.
Yes, well, I'm Ute and I am owner of Ute's International Lounge, where I help multilingual families, many families who have 2 and more languages at home, to embrace their home languages, maintain them, and add more to the plate. My background is in linguistics, actually, and I have a PhD in Romance philology. But my passion, as the one of Rita and Tetsu's, are languages. And I grew up with multiple languages, and I'm raising my children with multiple languages. I speak, read, and write 5, and my children are on the best way to get there too. But it's their choice, so it's not me standing behind them and yes, pushing them too much, not too much. But yes, that is my passion, and this led me to this group, right? And I know Rita from this project, but many years before we met, but we'll talk about this in a moment. Maybe it's time for Tetsu to share a little bit about yourself.
Yes. See, I'm not quite as famous as the other 2 ladies. I'm sure a lot of the viewers here know Rita and Ute, but so again, my name is Tetsu Young. I run my YouTube channel called AskTetsu. And all my social media is really with the handle AskTetsu in one word. I grew up in Taiwan in a multicultural, multilingual family. My mother is Japanese, my father is Taiwanese. Growing up in Taiwan, I went to an American school, and I came here as I live in Quebec, just outside of Montreal. So You all know this is French territory. And so I went to an American school that gives me English. And then I sort of learned Spanish on my own. So these are 5 languages that I speak. And I am now raising 4 children. I just had my latest edition a few months ago. So that's 4 children, 8, 6, 3, and 0 years old. And I'm raising them in all these 5 languages, mainly based on one person, one language, but many other types of activities. So all this stuff I talk about on my YouTube channel. And really, that I got into this community of multilingual parenting, mostly through starting from Rita's blog, or not the blog, but the Facebook page, and then sort of got around and met everybody in the community. All right. So
that sounds absolutely amazing what you're doing, Tetsu, with 4 kids and 5 languages. It's I take my hat off, my virtual hat off for you.
Well, thank you. I think whether we're raising our kids in a second language, third language, or 5 languages, we all are aiming for the same thing. We all want the best for our children, we do our best. I just humbly go into the community and try to seek out, help and provide, contribute as much as I can, whenever I can. Mm-hmm. And this is a wonderful community to be in. Speaking of community, if you don't mind, speaking of community, Rita, we have people, wonderful people on our chat, in the chat boxes, not the chat boxes, but the comments. So I would definitely like to acknowledge everybody coming on and watching us live. We really want to thank the folks. We have Rhonda, we have Annika, we have Josie, and those who are watching and haven't commented, I invite you to comment, send us a question or two that we will be covering more towards the end of the discussion. Sorry, I cut you off, Rita.
No, it's fine. Speaking about the community and how I think for all of us, the passion has come from growing up in a positive language environment and then adding languages as we go. So I grew up with Finnish and Swedish, 2 very, very different languages. And then I studied German at university. Even teaching German grammar at one point. I spent some time in Germany, and then the odd one out of my languages, which I don't really speak, but I can kind of understand, is Punjabi, because the father of my daughters is from India, speaks Punjabi. So that one I picked up just by listening. So what I'm saying is that we've lived this, and we've read about it. We have wanted to learn more, and then we have come to a place where we want to share, because this is not unique. There are so many other families like us, and everybody have the same questions to start with. And if we can share some of that knowledge, and if we can connect those academics in the know, or those parents that have done this, if we connect this with our community, I think that's just the perfect thing that we can do.
So you're saying we have a great team. I really think we have a great team here, because not just in terms of, well, men, women, we have academics, non-academics, we have people who have, Rita, you already have grandchildren, and I'm still like just starting off. My oldest is 8 and I got 4. So, all sorts of scenarios. I really hope our viewers will be able to relate to what we said, at and different levels.
You've got teenagers, you've got twins. And I've got the adults, bilingual kids who are now adults and now raising grandchildren with a language that's like for you, Tetsu. There's just me and my daughter, and then my other daughter. That's our language, but the two boys are growing up with it. So
Yes.
amazing.
Yes, you said, yeah, my children are, at the moment, they are teenagers. So I've passed the first stages, but we went through so many different stages and bumps in the road. Although I grew up with multiple languages myself, and I studied also linguistics, and I taught linguistics at the university. And I thought I know everything about, yes, the theory. And then you get children, and then it's all a different story. So you reinvent and you recombine what you know, and you adapt it to the practice, actually, and to every single child. And this is something that I really am very adamant about. And that's also why I like our project, is because we want to bridge between, yes, the research and the practice. So what is there in research that can help us in our everyday life with multiple languages, with children who are maybe a little bit more resistant, or parents who are not on the same page? How can we make it happen anyways? So these are hurdles that we all have every day, every week, every month, every year. How do we make this happen in the best possible way? And sometimes we even have to say goodbye to a language, maybe. Some of us did, I did, but I'm not going to share it now. But I was able to reintroduce it later. So it's never too late also to reactivate a language that maybe you have thought would be lost. So I did it myself as an adult, and I did it also with my children. But let's maybe share a moment how we met each other, because we know it, but maybe it's a nice way also to let others see how this connection can happen behind the behind the scenes.
Yes, so I don't remember the year, but it must have been around about 2012, 13 maybe, Ute, when we met online. And through a wonderful, other wonderful community, which is called Multicultural Kids Blog. And that's a group of bloggers who all deal with multicultural kids in one way or another. And some, like Ute and I, focus on the language, but then there's culture, there is so many aspects of being a child that gets input from different cultures and grows up in like in a multicultural environment. And that's where we met, and that's where we clicked, I would say. Not only on the keyboard, because we've done a lot of things since we've met up. We've been happy. I live in the UK. You're in the Netherlands, but we've met a few times, and we work well together. I know that from experience.
And a lot of experience you have. I mean, so you said 7 years, 8 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
For me, I remember reaching out to Rita. It's about a year and a half, 2 years ago, approximately.
At least two. I would say it was at least 2 years ago.
Yes. I mean, when I started, with this online community, I already knew about Rita and just followed her everywhere. But I started running a festival. That's right, I'm the stalker. I run a festival called Langfest in Montreal, and this is it's not really about kids, but it's about just language learning in general, and polyglots. Lots of polyglots love this stuff, and that's when we invited Rita onto one of our shows like this, our live shows, and I had Rita come on and talk about the raising multilingual children. So that was already about at least a year and a half, 2 years ago. I think that was for Langfest 2018. So it must have been before summer 18. So about 2 years ago. Yeah. And then things continue. And I've always thought, if I could do something with Rita one day, that would be great. But myself, I only started my own activities with AskTetsu last September. I mean, I've been preparing all my platforms and everything over many years, but we all know with the kids, some of these stuff just go out the window. And because this is also my side gig, my main day job is actually in healthcare. So I work in healthcare with clinical studies. So that's nothing to do with languages, but it's I use my Japanese, manage teams in Japan, but it has nothing to do with languages. So everything I'm doing right now is built over time. And finally, what was that, 3 months ago, Rita?
Yeah, about
3 months ago, I mustered all the energy and courage that I have to talk to Rita Rosenbach.
But that's scary.
to see if, with this idea, see if she would be interested in doing a collaboration. As I really think, as Ute mentioned earlier, we don't want a disconnect between experts or academics or the theory and practice. One does not exclude the other, but there's a gap sometimes in that information, in that accessibility, and I really thought this is where we could come in and fill that gap and bring the knowledge to the operational level with all the parents and educators right now, bringing up the next generation of multilinguals. So that was how I got into this wonderful collaboration, and I can't thank enough this opportunity.
And you contacted me, I think it was on the day when my EU project, I was kind of getting bombarded with emails left, right, and center. And also I have I'm a family language coach, so I have my clients that I do individual coaching with, and and then with the all changes in the situation we're in at the moment, where you need to be kind of prepared to be online even more than before, because the one-to-one contact hasn't been there for a while. So I was feeling a bit overwhelmed at the moment, and I was kind of, oh no. And then also there are other projects that we will talk about later, but I was feeling kind of, oh, I don't know if I have got the time or the headspace for this at the moment. It sounds really, really interesting. But then I said, but if we could get someone else to join us, so then I could think about it. And I didn't have to think twice on who I would ask. Ute was the first person in my mind that if I can get Ute to join as well, then we would have a fantastic team. And Ute, you said yes.
Yes, I said yes, because why did I say yes? No. First of all, I know how to work with Rita. We work really great together. And then Tetsu, actually, I know you a little bit longer because I knew about Langfest before Rita told me about you and your project. So I knew who she was talking about. I said, yes, I think I know the Tetsu. Is this the same Tetsu? And it was the same Tetsu. So
wow.
Languages bring us together again. So I think we all have, or at least Tetsu and I, we also have a YouTube channel. So this is something that we like to do on the side as well, right? So like so many things, we all wear many hats, and this is one of them. So this is why I was also passionate about doing this and offering this to our broader audience, putting together our audiences, and yes, try to bridge between the familiar and unfamiliar about raising multilingual children and translate maybe some very complex contexts into something that are bite-sized and applicable and understandable to everyone, because we cannot pretend, or we cannot expect parents, especially very young parents, to read it all and to find their way.
Well, they don't have the time.
No, I didn't. And I was happy that I knew what to do. But anyways, like I said before, I also did it wrong, or I did several things that didn't work out. But anyway, but let's maybe look a moment at who is following us. So Tetsu said it before that there is Sophie, there is Josie, Annika, and Rhoda. Welcome. And there is a question from Sophie. Shall we have a look at the question?
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
Yes. Or do you want to do it at the end?
No, let's go for a question now.
we
You
don't
promised
want
it
people
now,
to
so
feel-
let's go for
That's
it.
right.
She is saying, let me read it. Hello, Al. I'm French and my partner is English. We live in the UK and our 7-year-old son is absolutely not interested in learning French. What can I do to introduce French and make him want to learn my language? I hear you. I teach French to children. Oh, same here. And do a great job with others, but not mine. Very sad. Yes. Rita, I got your book just over a week ago and will read it in my holidays.
Oh, thank you.
Yay! So can I make, yeah, does anyone want to answer? Can I answer?
Please,
You
go ahead.
start and we can fill in.
I said when I was reading it, it so relates to me because I have also a very resistant daughter who doesn't like to speak German. German is one of our languages that we speak at home. But you were saying you're living in the UK, and then it depends on who else is there who also speaks French. If there is any kind of community, any kind of peer, maybe 8-9-year-old boy, that would be really great. I hear you also when you say that you teach other children, but your child doesn't want to be taught by you. This was one of my issues as well. So I had to outsource, so to say, to other people with different reactions from my 3 children. 2 were enthusiastic and the 3rd one not. So I had to find a way to come to terms with it. But this means if you can do it appealable and enjoyable for your child to like French, what does he like? What is he passionate about? What does he spend his time with? And then you provide input and settings where you use French while he does this. So you don't concentrate, you don't focus too much on the language, but more on the activity, and then you make it enjoyable in the language. I see Rita is nodding, but I leave it up to you if you want to add something.
Oh, one thing because you are teaching, then be wary of not trying to teach your son, just because since he's with you at home, he can acquire the language. So don't go at it in teacher mode. I know it's difficult, especially since you do teach children French. I can understand it's difficult, but try to exactly what Ute said. So don't compel, but make it compelling. So come up with something that your son really, really wants to do. And then he's at the age you can make an agreement with him, said, yes, we will do it, but we will integrate some French into it. So then there should be a need and a want for your son to use French. And so you know your son best. So think about what would really spur him on, and then come up with a way to incorporate French into that. So the want needs to come first, and then you smuggle in the French to start with. And when you get, it's often, I'm sure you agree with me, it's the thing to get started, to even get the kind of the child to say, yes, I want to do this. And once you pass that threshold, then you can start increasing. I would also, with the 7-year-old, I would have the discussion, be open and honest, tell your child how important French is. And it is not just because you are a French teacher and then he should learn French, but that's important to you. It's important that he can connect with the extended family and the culture and so on.
Yes. She added something else. She said that she has friends who speak also French
Okay.
But where she's living, obviously, then they switch to English. So English is the most dominant language. This is what we all struggle with, right? We find a community that speaks our language, and then we meet and we speak the local language.
Yeah.
Or it's very difficult for the children then to switch, especially if they go to school and maybe share the school, go to the same school, are in the same class sometimes, but in another language. Then convincing them to switch to the target language that we have in mind is challenging, is difficult. But
Yeah. I mean, I know at this moment in time, it might not be possible to travel to France, but we know that there's a stay somewhere where the language is spoken, where it comes from the media, when it's in the shops, it's in the newspapers, everybody speaks the language. That is always a great booster for a child, and also because sometimes children think about, oh, that's just the language mom speaks, or that's just the language dad speaks. But when they come into an environment and live, are submersed in the language, then that language gets a new meaning and an importance too. So if possible, visits would be really great.
Yes, or if we can't visit like now in this situation, bring France to your home. So there is a linguistic landscapes, it's called. You can have a look at what is all French in your home. It's just like a scavenger hunt, treasure hunt in your home. And then just acknowledge the fact that there are many things that are French, maybe all your French books and the rest. To see how much Frenchness you have in your life, in your everyday life, and really enjoy it. Because what I've learned the very hard way is that I cannot force any kind of language preference on my children. Absolutely not. So the moment that I have let it go, this is not an advice now, of course, I'm talking about myself and my very personal experience. The very moment that I said, okay, now I don't insist with Italian, they switched. They were more relaxed and more open to welcome the language at a certain point. And then I saw them all coming back and all asking for it and all asking for understanding and me speaking with them. So this can be also, I think children feel the pressure that we have as parents. I grew up like this. I want my children to do the same. And then at some point they resist just because it's just too much pressure. And the moment that you release, it might be that they come back. I wish it to you anyways. But shall we go ahead with what we wanted to share?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies. I love this team because we're all on the same wavelength when it comes down to how we want to motivate the kids. And I think you guys have it right on. It's exactly what I try to do with my kids, is to not force it. I can't stress this enough, because if you force it, one day they're going to hate it, and it's just going to be completely counterproductive. And it's going to spill over to other aspects of your life than languages, and nobody wants that.
You don't want any negative connotations with the language, and which forcing would do. Yes.
So thank you to our viewers. I still see a lot of comments coming in. We'll definitely try to address them as we go, but we do have a time limit. Let's tell you guys about our what RML is about, our vision, our mission. Okay, so give me a second. I'm going to put a slide on the screen. Okay, and we'll tell you about what we're about.
Yes, thank you. So we wanted to have a clear guideline and like a thread running through all the episodes, that coming episodes, and all the advice that we give, and all the people we interview. And so we virtually sat down together and worked quite a long time on the vision and the mission. And for the vision is that we want to give everyone access to fact-based, practical information on raising bilingual and multilingual children. And this is the vision. So like we said at the start, we want to make facts available to everyone, because everyone's situation is different. There is when it comes to raising bilingual children, there is not one right way. There are several right ways. There are some may be better than others, but that depends on the circumstances, so that everyone can make their own informed decision on what's best for my family. Then you need the facts, and that's what we will try our very best to offer in a form that that is understandable. And as we go along, we want to have feedback from everyone. If you find that some things are too simple or something is too complicated or anything, just let us know. We want this to be your program, your place to go to hear information, and we want to be able to form it in a way that you can take in.
Mm-hmm. Very nice said. And yes, and the mission that we have is that we want our children across the world to thrive through languages. This means that they are not discriminated because of their using a language that might not be one of the most dominant or most sophisticated or whatever adverb you want to, adjective you want to use. What we are going to do is we will interview experts and experienced people in the field of bilingualism and multilingualism. And our live platform provides the parents, educators, other professionals, and anyone who is interested actually in the topic with relevant advice and hands-on tips on how to raise children in more than one language. So in this way, it's should be accessible to everyone. And as Rita said, if there is at any point something that is not so clear or that is too complicated or too easy, you let us know, please. So we know we are starting this, so we want also to learn through the feedback that we gather online. And like we said before, what we want to do here is to bridge between the research and the practice, and to foster some kind of the knowledge activation, if you want. And for this to happen, knowledge needs to be available, accessible, usable, and understandable. So I hope this is clear and that anyone can subscribe this as we do.
And I think it's become clear from all of our profiles and what we do that children are at the center of this. Because we, like it says in our mission, we want children to thrive through languages. So that's another leading thought that will go through this. I do like Q&As. I often say, this is just me saying this now, but I often say, I'm always on the child's side. And I warn parents when they come to me with questions, said, remember, I will always be on your child's side. So if they feel, well, my child should do this and should do that, so, well, let's look at it from the child's point of view. So, and the child thrives best when the parent knows what to do and how to go about it, and we want to give this information to parents.
I love it. I love it. Okay, let me stop sharing. Okay. I don't know, folks who are watching right now, definitely let us know what you think about our mission, our vision and our mission. We are all about being there for you guys. But I like what Rita said, we're on the children's side, and I'm fully aligned with that. Okay. So what are the examples of topics that we're going to cover then in the weeks and months to come? You know, I'm thinking very practical, operational strategies. Like, for example, in our family, we cover things like one person, one language. These are all very popular things, but I'm sure we're going to go into some things that are much more, I guess, theoretical, but we try to bring it down to earth for everybody. What do you guys think about the type of topics we're going to cover?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We're nodding at each other. Yes, about the language strategies that you just mentioned, and neuroscience as well, connected with multilingualism, or plural literacy, the best practices to maintain languages in the family, all the languages in the family and in the community.
Would you mind expanding on what plural literacy means?
Yeah, I was going to
say that might not be obvious to everyone. So, I think we should always pick up on each other if we use terms that might not be understandable.
Absolutely, plural literacy is being literate in more than one language or multiple.
So you can
languages.
read and write in more than one language. Yes.
You understand, speak, read, and write, and possibly also can function in that language in different domains of life. So this is meant with plural literacy.
That's very important, because that's one of the big challenges that parents have. And I must say, I struggled with that, especially since one of my children's languages was a language that I did not know, and I could not help with the reading and the writing. So whatever we can help parents with in that aspect is really important.
So the people
we will also speak. Sorry
about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, we will also speak about, is it ever too late to learn a language, or what's the best age, or when should you start? Is there a specific point in life when you have to say goodbye to learning new language, and all this kind of. We will also break a lot of myths, because there are unfortunately still myths flying around about children. We will.
It's incredible. In today's world, we still have the so-called authorities who say things that are just completely out there. And so hopefully we'll be able to bring a lot of clarity to like that.
Yes.
And with my kids, sorry about that, with my kids now going, getting ready for, elementary school. Well, one is already in elementary school, and then high school and whatnot. I would be very interested in language policies in schools, the formal educational settings and that kind of thing. I hope that's going to be of interest to our viewership.
Absolutely, and we will also have parents who've been there, done that, so to say, and raised children, maybe raised grandchildren. So we want to also to speak to show that this can be done. As it happens, all the three of us, we have several languages. That must not be the case in many cases. It's just two. It doesn't mean that it's easy. If you have just two, because there are many challenges just with the two as well. So we will give information for those who are adding a language, maybe adding later, who have 2, 3, 4 languages. So everybody's. We hope to cover as many different family language scenarios as possible.
Wow. That really means we've got a wide range. The thread is multilingual children or bilingual children, but it's a wide range of people that we're going to bring in. Some academics, some experts who are not really necessarily academic, but who have a very strong knowledge. Some are just, like you say, parents. Some are policymakers, and who knows, depending on the subject we're going to cover. We are open also to everybody's suggestions. If our viewership can recommend people that they want to see, that's also something. And at this point, I think I'll just mention that I believe I have put in a comment with the link to our feedback form. We really appreciate and value your feedback so that we could grow this thing together to align this with the demand of our viewership. So there's a link in there. If it's not there, I'll put it up again. It's also in the description. So I'll put it up there everywhere so that you can find it easily. But every week it's going to be there. It's going to be the same form. So definitely hope you guys could, after every session, help us, give us feedback, give us criticism.
Yes.
Just don't keep it to yourself. Please help us. That's really a big message.
And it's really important that you contact us and tell us, like, if you know somebody, I would really like to hear from this person, because then we can use that when we contact the person and say, our audience wants to hear from you. So can you please come on to our show? So
that's great. Ute, I don't know if you have any other messages. I think we should be winding down pretty soon. But if you have another message or not, we can also definitely go through all the comments and questions. I think we need to address those before we sign off. Oh, and
yeah,
and then
we have the big news of the next session.
Yes, I see that Yosung Shine, I don't know if I pronounce your name correctly, but she said, I think it's about the plural literacy. It's very much something I want to learn about, how to help my sons learn to read and write. I try to do it the playful way, but getting them engaged is not always easy. Yes, it's like we said before, it's quite something that many parents then realize that they might need to become teachers, which not every parent can do. And this is completely understandable. But when it comes to reading and writing, these are not skills that come so easily like or naturally like speaking, understanding and speaking. If a child is, everything is okay, they can hear and etc. But reading and writing are really skills that need to be acquired. And so sometimes it helps if they have been at school before and learned it at school in order to get into the habit and to understand how reading and writing works. And other children are very interested even before they go to preschool. You have a great range of different situations there, but I would like to know more, Yusung Shine, what you're doing. I like the playful way. You don't mention how old your children are. But this is definitely something that we will talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Oh, definitely. And I want to add to that, anyone thinking of it. So go to your language or the countries, like the equivalent to BBC or any popular broadcaster. They usually have good, high quality programs that teach the, how to read and write, or go to educational websites in your home country or where the language is spoken. So make use of those resources.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just can add, because you were saying, and while you were speaking, she was adding that she is a teacher, but for secondary school students. And actually, yes, teaching primary school children is very different. And of course, when you are starting with the language or with these skills, but that's very interesting. And definitely one of our.
I see the comment says, my son, to help my son learn, read and write. So I don't know if the children are the ones in secondary school or primary school. I would, I mean, it's a coincidence. It's not really trying to plug my Facebook page, but if you go to AskTetsu, the Facebook page, my wife she put up this video of my son. He's 8 right now, yesterday. And he's trying to get he told my wife that he wanted to get the certification for his kanjis, the Chinese characters test. And the level that he's aiming for is 3rd grade, and he's currently in 2nd grade. And we don't force them, like I mentioned earlier, we don't force them to do any of these drills. But it just so happens what we do is we have apps, we print out posters, we have books, games. We just spread all these things out in the house, if we sit down together and we just do it for fun, it's spending time together. And early, 2-3 months ago, when they first arrived in Japan, all the kids go to the local schools and they're learning everything in Japanese.
Maybe you should fill the audience in on your situation now. So
sure,
because you said, yeah.
That's true. I should. So I speak Mandarin with my kids, and my wife is Japanese. She speaks Japanese with the kids. We live in Quebec, so they go to school in French, and we hire au pairs from Mexico for Spanish, and English just comes with different types of inputs. Sometimes an exchange student, sometimes an au pair, sometimes and TV and everything. So with respect to Japanese and Mandarin, other than speaking inside the house here in Quebec, we go to Japan every year. Around the end of April for about 2 months, and then at the end of June for another 2 months to Taiwan. So that's 2 months in each country, and we send them to the local schools at their age standardized level, and we do this cycle every year. Except this year it's a little special because of the COVID situation. They're going to have spent 5 months in Japan from March to August when they come back here. And so that sort of puts into context where they are right now. And when they first arrived in Japan, every year it's the same. They go to school, they integrate very well because we tell them, just go have fun. And we tell the teachers, we don't care about the grades. I don't want any pressure on that, and don't worry. We will not be monster parents, jumping on you. What we want you to keep an eye out for is how they integrate into the society, how they make friends. I don't want them to be excluded. I want them to have fun. That's the most important thing that we're looking for when they go to the local schools. Sure. Yeah. And at the beginning, my son was coming back, apparently, telling my wife, oh, the kanji is so difficult. This is so boring. And so we said, fine, just go have fun. We don't care. And then just recently, something clicked. I think it's because my daughter really loves drawing, and then these characters, he saw that and he just took an interest. Suddenly he's getting competitive with my daughter or something. And when he gets down, to business, he really gets down to business, and suddenly he's learning so fast. And now he says he wants to go above his own level. And that's just the kind of thing we try to extract, that power, that motivation.
It's a great example of how different things motivate different children.
Yeah, exactly.
And one important thing is for literacy overall is to foster the love for books from very early on. As soon as they're from well before they can even understand or to look at the books, and make them familiar with books, and have it's not always possible to buy a lot of books, but see if you can borrow from the library or from somewhere else, from other parents maybe who have the same language combinations, just so your child see and read yourself to be the reading role model. Show your kids that reading is an enjoyable thing to do, because so a child grows into loving books and loving reading, and that makes it a lot easier when they want to read themselves.
Absolutely.
I have on my site, on Ute's International Lounge, I have a free downloadable list. It's a checklist if your home is multi-literacy friendly. It's a very basic list with maybe for parents of younger children and older children as well.
Great. Right. How much time have we got? I could speak. I could sit here and speak for hours. So
this is going to be our problem every week. we're too passionate about this. We have to control.
Can I direct on our audience, because there is Katerina Semenchko. Again, sorry if I pronounce it not correctly. I read quickly through her question. It's a bit long. Hi, I'm Ukrainian, I live in Spain. 4 languages in my family. I'm a Cambridge English teacher and currently researching on multilingual parents' dilemmas. I'm a mom of 2. My daughter speaks 3 languages, my son 2. My objective has always been all core skills must be practiced through thoroughly and all the languages practiced simultaneously, and that takes time and effort. That is the reason why my younger child is bilingual English-Spanish. The dropped language is my mother tongue Ukrainian. What is your experience with the multilingual constellation that do not share the same alphabet and no time available to raise your child trilingual or multilingual? No native speakers, Ukrainians nearby, no play groups in Spain. Thanks in advance.
Yes, it is a challenge. I had that challenge. So with my daughters, well, they grew up with Finnish and Swedish in Finland, and their dad spoke Punjabi, and a language that I do not speak. And also at the time when they were growing up, there were very few resources and nothing online. So yes, that was a big challenge, and especially when their dad was very busy in the business he was doing, so he didn't have the time, maybe also not the inclination to sit down and teach the letters. So I actually set a goal for myself to learn. So I learned the Punjabi alphabet, Ula, Ara, Ili, Sasa, Ha, Ha, Kaga, and so on. And started with this with my daughter, but it was really difficult. What changed for us was when we moved from Finland to the UK, and both my daughters could attend weekend schools. So that's how they both learned. The younger one on the weekend schools, and as it happened here in the UK, you can actually have Punjabi at GCSEs at this in secondary school. So that's what my elder daughter did. So I didn't, or their dad didn't teach them. We did resort to other means to teach to teach that language.
Yes, there are many different strategies that you can start very early on, also to have the different scriptures, I call them like that, because there are so many, or alphabets around the house, so that the child knows, and there is research about this, that even 4-year-old children or even younger, they can distinguish between the different letters or ways the languages are written by just looking at them. If you have these prints, let's say, around your house. But I would like to acknowledge one last question, maybe before we finish. It's from Rachel and Browning. Sorry, Rachel, I didn't see your comment before. It was on top. I heard each parent sticking to a language when speaking with children helps prevent mixing. Is this a preferred way? And how should the adults communicate together? We want to avoid defaulting to an English-only household. I imagine that English would be then the third language, or one of the 2 languages that you have at home. That would be, I have always a lot of questions before I answer questions. It's sometimes more questions than the one that I...
Sure, maybe I can talk to that as we do it right now. So on a very realistic level, I mentioned earlier, I speak Mandarin, my wife speaks Japanese. We live in Quebec, and we have an au pair from Mexico. So that's 4 languages, each having a specific person who is addressing that language, and we have English through various inputs, sometimes another person. So one person, one language is our religion, basically, in our home. And as you say, Rachel, it is a great way to really categorize the languages and have the kids associate that language with that specific person very cleanly. Now, logistics issue pops up when you have other people joining that discussion, or when you're outside. There's courtesy issues. So I get, and also one other question that sort of related is, what do you speak as a parent, to your spouse, your other half, and what kind of effect that has on your children? And to me, the most important thing about one person, one language is the association of that language between you and your child. That habit, it's a golden word for me, a habit that you create. speaking that specific language with your child, what's important is that you have such a strong association that it feels weird that you speak to speak a different language with your child, and your child will have a weird feeling to speak another language with you. That does not mean you cannot speak another language in front of them.
Yeah.
That does not mean you cannot read to them in a different language. It just means that you have your specific bond language, and the other cases are special. They know it's a special case if you're reading to them in a different language, or if you're talking to somebody else in a different language. It's irrelevant. It doesn't affect what you have between them. That's my feel, and that's how we've been doing it for the.
And children do not start mixing, even if you switch from one language to another. That doesn't mean that children start mixing. And small children, they naturally mix languages, and it's fine. I can attest to that being weird. Like, my daughters are now adults. My elder daughter has got 2 sons. So, and we have lived in the UK for 22 years. And we still only speak Swedish with each other. We wouldn't start speaking. It would just feel weird if no one else. We can do it when there's someone else in the room and that's why we are using English. But to speak English straight to each other, it's just not. It's weird. Why would we do that?
Yes. Rachel added that she speaks 3 languages and her husband speaks 5. It's a little bit like our situation in our family as well. I speak 5 languages. My husband speaks 5. I speak other dialects as well, and we have many languages in common. So for us, when the children were younger, I don't know how old your children are, Rachel, so I just answered. When they were younger, we would follow really the opal as much as possible, but also the time and place. I couldn't spend a day without speaking Italian, for example, or French. It was just my language. And we were learning then Dutch and English anyways. But it always depends on the need that you have as a parent and the child as well. Even if we are multilingual, we have to make a choice. What is important for our children? What is the language that we have this emotional bond with our children? With this said, I don't want to say that we only have this emotional bond with one language, because maybe I speak another language with my partner, so I have emotional bond maybe with 2 languages. This is also possible, which is very interesting in my opinion about talking about these topics.
And that can change. Also, that can change. It's not that it's set from the start and then it's the same through. It changes throughout. Like, my first emotional language was Finnish because it was very close to my mom, and then I went to a Swedish school. I had boyfriends who speak Swedish with, and that then Swedish also became an emotional language, and now I'm married to an English speaker, so English has become an emotional language. So don't ever let anyone tell you, right, okay, that was your emotional language when you're a child, that's what you need to speak, because that's not how it works.
Yes, the language shift is another topic that is very dear to every multilingual family, that you have preferences and dominance in one time and then it changed. But I see Tetsu is laughing.
As much emotion that we have right now, and motivated with everything. I really do think we should wrap it up, and we have a little announcement for what's coming up. But before we do that, again, we want to acknowledge all our viewers. Thank you for your questions. This is exactly what we're looking for. So we hope that we were able to address most of the comments. I know we couldn't get through all of them, but keep them there. We'll try to answer what we can after the fact. And you could definitely bring it up again at our next sessions. So
let's make a promise that any comment that has been put on YouTube or Facebook or question through that, we will answer in a comment. So I don't want people to go away with the feeling that, well, I didn't get an answer. So
yeah, that's true. And I've also put in the link for our feedback form in the chat. So definitely take a look at that. I hope you guys can give us more feedback, more comments and questions in there, recommendations for speakers, recommendation for topics. We're wide open to what you have for us. Okay, so now I'm gonna put on the announcement for the next for the coming session, and I'll let Rita tell us about our next guest.
Oh, I'm so excited that we will be having Dr. Antonella Sorachi with us in 2 weeks' time. She's a professor at the University of Edinburgh, and her specialty is developmental linguistics. So she knows about how bilingual children, how their languages, how they learn, and what the best way is. I have met her a few times. I've listened to her several times. She's one of those unique individuals who knows a lot, but can explain things in a way that that anyone can understand. She has, in 2008, she founded Bilingualism Matters, a fantastic organization that helps multilingual families across the world. There is a network of branches around Europe and the US at the moment, so she's really done a lot for multilingual families. And she will be here, and you will be able to ask questions to her, and we will, if you want to send them in advance, we will place those questions to her. I am so excited, almost as excited as I'm seeing my grandsons. In 1 hour, I'm seeing them after 4 months.
Wow, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I hope I'll be able to say the same thing in next month when my kids come back. I will not have seen them for 5 months, and even my fourth daughter.
One child you've never seen.
That's right. First time I hold my fourth baby, she's already gonna be 4 months old. But anyways, thank you to everybody. Well, thank you to my co-hosts for your time, sharing your knowledge and expertise. I'm sure it's appreciated by all our viewers. And again, thanks to our viewers. Next, in 2 weeks' time, again, same time, comme on dit en français, même heure, même poste, same time, same channel. All the announcements will be going out 1 week before the live session. So keep an eye out on each of our Facebook pages, and of course the Raising Multilinguals live Facebook page. Any last words?
Thank you so much for attending. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and we will be there for you.
Yes, right. And meanwhile, enjoy all your languages. I've tried to answer some of the questions, and we will go on when this is over. Please don't stop asking questions, letting us know what kind of topics you would like to hear about. And as I said, enjoy your languages. And tot de volgende keer, like we say in Dutch. See you at the next time.
Vi ses om 2 veckor. Bye.
Sayonara.